All right, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Gonna try and get back into the routine of things and posting more often. No more multi-month gaps in between things. So we're gonna give a little 3000 GT update, but first off, for all you cts-v guys that are watching, dual caliper brackets, we have some back in stock here. Got all the hardware. I'm just bagging everything up, and we're gonna coat these with our stainless coating. So dual caliper brackets are in stock at stansco.jp. If you're interested, we also have the toe arms. We have the handbrake mounting plates that you can see right there, and we have carbon intake tubes that will be here any day now from our carbon guy. He shipped out the tubes. We have all the other stuff, so as soon as the tubes get here, they will be available on the site. So keep an eye out. If there's anything ever on the site that you're interested in and it's out of stock, chances are it'll be back in stock pretty quickly if it's a common part. And all you have to do is fill out a back in stock request, and you'll get an email as soon as it's back in stock. Now, if it's a built to order item, like all of our brake line kits, when you place the order, we'll get to work on it and we'll get it out the door as quick as we can for you. So jumping in here, the 3000, I came out here, I uncovered it from the sheets, and I start just messing with it last night. I don't know, I was bored. I pulled some spark plugs out. The spark plugs were great. You know, I put those in a few years ago and they were still super clean. The car runs super healthy. It just burns a little bit of oil from the valve seals. I mean, these are the original valve seals from 1992. Again, this is a JDM engine, a full JDM drivetrain from a GTO. It had about 49,000 miles when I got it. I forget how many years ago, almost 10 years ago at this point. And it's been in this car ever since. It's been used aggressively, drifting, all that. And the last, I guess, 2 years, it's kind of just spent most of its time sitting here in the garage. So I decided I'm going to give this thing a refresh that it needs. Now that the Drift V is at a point where we're just kind of making some small adjustments and things like that, but a lot of the big stuff has been taken care of on that car. These two, between the Black V and the 3000, are next on getting refreshes. So the Black V was my daily driver for many years. We have the cam and all that stuff done on it. I put a new clutch in it about a year and a half ago, but I need to do a little bit of rust repair on this car, and I need to pull the rear subframe out and, you know, give it the whole rear subframe treatment that we already did on the drift car. Other than that, I mean, the engine, everything runs great, nothing leaks and all that, but I just need to address a couple little common rust spots underneath the car, and then the rear subframe that I've never touched. So I did put the Stansco toe arms on it, but it needs diff bushings, or it actually has the Creative Steel diff bushing in it. It needs subframe bushings, trailing arms, and I'm going to redo all the brake lines with the Stansco stuff as well while I'm there. So this car, we're going to wait until we move into the new house to dive into, because that's going to be a bigger project. It's going to be up in the air for a little while. This car, I'm basically starting from the front and moving my way to the back. So I am starting with the engine bay. Engine's gonna come out, transmission's gonna come out, the whole drivetrain yanked right out. And I'm gonna start off by stripping the engine bay and basically creating a clean slate for things to start going back into. I'm gonna be painting the engine bay and steel it. We're gonna go with like that gray theme, and then I'm going to be refinishing all the little shiny bits here. So like the intake manifold, valve covers, spark plug cover. We're gonna really just dial it back a little bit, get some good steel it on most of this stuff, and I think we're gonna go for like some purple powder coated valve covers, something along the lines there. In the meantime, I'm gonna be doing a lot of tune-up stuff to this engine that it needs. So we're gonna send the injectors out to get cleaned. We're gonna re-gasket everything from top to bottom. I mean, like, there's gaskets on this that are 31 years old at this point, like the lower plenum gasket, like that lower plenum has never been taken off. So this thing, we're gonna just put the engine up on the stand. We're gonna tear it down to an extent. We're gonna do a health check on it, you know, on the bottom end, pull the oil pan, and then we are gonna re-gasket the entire thing. Now, transmission, we're gonna reseal it. Nothing wrong with the transmission. I gotta repair the threads on the drain plug. Common thing where they strip out on these. So I am gonna repair the threads on the drain plug, and we're gonna reseal it, repaint it. We're gonna steel it again, Steal It really is that good. Now, I don't use Steal It brand. I use Seymour stainless steel coating. It is the exact same thing as Steal It, only it has a slightly more silver color than gray. So we're gonna be going with the Seymour. That's what I use on the roll cage on the DriftV. That's what I use on all the stance coat parts that we coat, and it holds up great. So we're gonna be using that. So when I say Steal It, I mean the Seymour 316, the stainless steel paint, and it just goes on easier. It's so hard not to paint everything with it because it goes on so easy. It's super durable. It's more durable than spray paint or just paint in general, I feel like. And it just gives everything a real nice like satin finish. And our focal point in the engine bay is mainly just going to be our valve covers. So we're going to just tone everything down. We'll have the polished pipes and our purple valve covers, kind of chase after like an HKS purple color. I'm going to replace all of the couplers from the CX Racing Turbo intercooler kit, and except for this one, I don't know how I can possibly find this goofy shaped coupler unless I don't really know, to be honest. So that I'm going to have to dig into a little bit more, but at least all these reducer 90s and these straight 2 inches and all that is all easily replaceable. So I'm going to get all black couplers for that. And then basically just clean up, replace all the coolant lines, probably delete the coolant lines from the throttle body, but I'm just going to clean up everything. I mean, this car has basically become all right, so let me preface this. After years of track use, this car has turned into a lot of temporary fixes that turned into permanent fixes because they just worked. So, and if it was between events, it was like, okay, just do what we got to do to get us to the next event, and then we run it, and then we run it and run it and run it and run it, and then it never breaks again. So the temporary fix becomes the permanent fix. So that's why this car is just worn out in that sense. Now, interior wise, I'm going to be replacing the gauges and pulling some panels down from the attic and putting them back in the car, and then we're going to dive into the tube rear as the very last thing. I'm hoping that by the time we move into the new house, then I can tackle the tube rear, because that'll be a pretty labor intensive project, whereas this engine bay project, it's just going to be yanking this thing out, which I can typically have out in about 45 minutes from all the other times I've pulled it out, and just pulling everything apart, regasketing everything, repainting all the parts that I need to, and just cleaning it all up, similar to what I did with the engine on the DriftV. And one thing I really want to do is replace all of the hardware on the engine and all of the hardware in the engine bay with some nice yellow zinc coated hardware, because I feel like if we get some proper zinc coated hardware in here, pretty much exactly like what we use for the Stansco stuff. So this is for these are caliper bolts for the dual caliper kit. Nice yellow zinc coated. These are grade 10.9 metric bolts. So something like this we get all throughout the engine bay, and I think that paired with the Steal It and, you know, just some trim black on some brackets and whatnot will really make this engine bay look nice. Dare I say, I'm trying to go for a show car-y look, but like still keep it a street car. I was thinking about it last night when I was tinkering with this thing. It was my first night in the garage in months, and because we've just been traveling so much back and forth, last night I kind of realized I miss having this thing be a drift car, but I don't want to drift it that often. So I want to make it basically as perfect as I can make it, but I'm probably going to put another welded diff back in it, and I really just want to make it into still a functioning drift car, but something that I'm going to end up driving on the street probably more than I'm going to be taking it to the track. I have been looking into trying to get air conditioning back into this car. We deleted all the wiring way back. Oh, I deleted it way years ago. So in order to even start with that, I got to try and get my hands on the wiring harness that comes from the lower dash out, runs down the fender here, and then comes in, and then it goes over to the fuse box over there a little bit, but mostly it has all the plugs and the little relay junction box that sits right here for the AC stuff. And then I gotta try and get my hands on a compressor. So the AC, I'm gonna try my best to source the parts that I need and then the lines that route, you know, around the back, and they go to the evaporator that's back down in there. So being in Florida, the only time I can drive this car is in the winter, and I would love to be able to drive it year round, because I feel like this time of the year, even still, there's a lot of like drift car meets and just things that I could be going to, but the car doesn't leave the house because it's just way too hot to drive it. I'll probably go 134A because I was battling a leaky rear evaporator on the Escalade, and I basically bought all the equipment to do AC systems, and I taught myself how to recharge a 134A system, and that is something I'm going to be doing to this car. So this car, the AC, I put a new compressor in it a few years back, and it still blows cold, but on those 100-degree days, it blows cool, not ice cold like it should. So this is going to be my first test subject for, other than the Escalade, for just doing a vacuum on the system and a full recharge of 134A. So we'll be doing that. Ignore this mess right here. I borrowed the air box and the whole intake for the drift car because up north I didn't want to run into the chance of it raining and having the exposed filter and all that jazz. So that's actually still up in PA. So I just want to jump on, give you guys a quick update, just to give you an idea of what we're going to be working on. 3000 content is finally coming back. I know a lot of you guys have been on this channel since the 3000, because of the 3000 really. So you know, it's all I got to work on here. The drift fee's gone, so kind of frees up a lot of my time while we're down back in Florida until we go back up in the fall to Pennsylvania. So 3000 content is coming back. I want to make this thing good again. I want to make this thing a good street car again. And with that, stay tuned. Thank you to you guys that hung around, especially the 3000 guys that hung around for the last like 2 years of cts-v content. And any of you new 3000 GT guys, welcome to the channel. Go watch the drifting videos in the past. This was and is still a drift car. So until the next video, I'm going to start tinkering with this thing, and we'll bring you guys along. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for hanging around. Sansco.gp for all your cts-v parts. And maybe while I'm working on this thing, if I can figure out anything that you guys might benefit from that I can make, we'll start building out our 3000 GT catalog on Stansco as well. So until then, I'll see you guys in the next one.